Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. We had a beautiful day yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be cool today, but nice, which is good. But Chris asked a good question, and I want to answer Chris's question once I get it up here. He just bought a new Bronco, which that's pretty rad. Like, I'm not a car person. I would much rather ride a motorcycle than drive a nice car. I'll just drive whatever car I have available to me. But with a name like Chevy, you can probably imagine the kind of cars that were in my household growing up. And Ford was not one of them. It just wasn't one of them. It wasn't not because of my dad. My dad, the car guy, like he actually had a Ford, a '56 Ford. That when you talk to him about his old cars, that's like the one thing that like that's was his favorite. He talks about it more than anything else. So, but we didn't. I didn't have Fords, and so with a name like Chevy, and the area that I live in, there's like if you drive Chevy, that's it. You're not allowed to have a Ford. I have a Ford Focus right now. Whatever. Anyway, back to Chris. He bought a new Bronco. I absolutely love the new Bronco. I really like the look of the new Bronco. If I had the money to go buy a car right now, that's probably the car that I would buy just because I like it. It's one of the like every now and then a car will come out and I'll go, man, I really like that car. It was like the Chrysler 500 when they redid that 500, it made it look like some sort of gangster, futuristic gangster look. I was like, man, I really like that car. Those have been two cars in the past 30 years that I've been interested in. So no, I don't know crap about the Ford. I don't care. Like I drive a 4-cylinder, 5-speed Ford Focus. I don't give a crap what I drive. So if I'm gonna buy a car, my next car will probably be something that I pay cash for because it's just a mode of transportation. It doesn't mean anything else to me other than that. Unless I bought the Bronco, I would be like, that's cool, and I would try to make it look cool. But anyway, so he bought the Bronco, and he's getting prepped to do some overland camping, taking his vehicle out, done camping. Now, Chris lives in Cali, and they actually have you can go out into the desert and camp, I guess, if you really wanted to. But he said, where have I gone camping? Any places that stand out more than others? Why? What's your favorite camping meal? Any place you've ever wanted to go camping and haven't? Most of my camping has been limited to the West Virginia, Virginia area. I have probably spent a few nights out elsewhere, but I've not really done extensive go somewhere and camp trips. I've done a lot of camping, and a lot of it has been backpacking camping, which is whatever you can carry on your back, hike for a few miles, set up a tent, that kind of thing. And here in West Virginia, we have a whole lot of national parks. I really love that version of camping. When I go do that, I tend to it's tended to be a fishing trip. So I will go with the intent of catching dinner. And when I do that, I will pack very light. I will bring some staples like rice, some canned beans or some dry beans. I'll pack very light, very basic foods. But I've also done a whole lot of campground camping. Here in West Virginia, there's a place called, I don't remember what it's called. We used to go every summer and spend 7 to 10 days. There was the last week of July, there was a whole bunch of families that would go. Most of them had campers. We always had tents. I've always been a tent camper. And we would spend a week there. That was fun too because it was we could have regular foods. There was a grocery store that was a 15-minute drive away. We had firewood available. We took tables and chairs and gas camp stoves and all that sort of stuff and had just a really relaxing week. That's fun too. But for me, I really enjoy the going out and just exploring camping. Tent camping, backpacking. I also did a whole lot of camping in search and rescue. I was a search and rescue. I was a certified tracker, meaning that man tracking. I could identify your tracks and follow you through the wilderness based on your footprints and the traces that you leave. That native. You see the native chief doing the thing. That's what the stuff that I did. I was certified for that in Virginia. So I got certified. West Virginia doesn't have a certification program for search and rescue. Virginia does. I went down there and certified down there. So I did a whole lot of camping with that. We camped winter camping, summer camping, all over the place. We did a whole lot of field trainings that would be week long, weekend long type stuff. And with that, we also tried to do limited camp. We would take stoves and stuff, but we weren't, cooking amazing 5-course meals. One of my favorite, if you're doing backpacking camping, if you're doing limited supplies camping, I did a video at the beginning of COVID on a pan bread called Bannock. Bannock is a soda bread that is made a lot in Canada. So it's a basic just flour, salt, baking soda kind of pan bread. And when I go camping, when I would do backpack style camping or limited resources camping, I would always pre-mix a bunch of those, not a bunch, but I would pre-mix those in Ziploc baggies. And then you can also take other stuff, like you can take raisins or brown sugar or more salt, beef jerky, if you're catching fish, whatever. The nice thing about Bannock is it's a really neutral bread, and so you can put stuff in it. So if you want to have a sweet bread for breakfast, you could put some, brown sugar and some raisins or some apples or whatever in it. If you want to catch fish, you can put fish in it. You can make tacos with it. Like it's super versatile, and it packs down really small and light. So that's one of my favorite super easy camping meals. Everything else would be dependent on what you take with you. A Dutch oven is super vital for me going camping. I'll take a Dutch oven, which is just a cast iron pot. You cook with charcoal briquettes. You'll put like maybe 4 or 5 around the rim, put a 4 or 5 underneath of it, and you can cook. You look up Dutch oven recipes. There's so many amazing things you can cook in a Dutch oven, and it's basically a wilderness crock pot. Like you just light some charcoal briquettes, put your stuff on it, put the charcoal briquettes around the top, and you can go do whatever for the day, come back and you have a meal. So I love doing that. But, camping here, all the various types, I've always very much enjoyed going camping. Almost always in a tent with limited resources. But, with the family, it's a little different. I've tried to keep it interesting for them. I would camp in places like Seneca Rocks here. There's nice hiking trails and a little visitor center. I've done camping in quite a few like national parks, they're really nice campgrounds. Places I would like to go camping. Now that I have the camera again and I've been taking more photography, I went camping in this place once before. It's on the Skyline Parkway. I think that's what it's called in Virginia. You'd have to look it up. There's a national park there that was part of Teddy Roosevelt's this is now a park, and they basically forced out a bunch of people who lived there, and their houses are still there. They're mostly at this point crumbling foundations, but there's a few houses like a mile or two back in this wilderness that are still there, and hikers will carry supplies back there and maintain the houses. And I would love to go back there. For one, the trail down to the houses was at some point a road, and it's now basically completely grown over. There's a whole bunch of photography potential down there that I would love to take an actual camera back. I think I had like a early gen digital camera back then, and I took tons of photographs, but I've lost all of that. I don't know where any of those photographs live. I would love to take the camera back there. I'd love to go to like Yellowstone, and like the Grand Canyon. Like I would love to visit the national parks that have interesting things to see, and places where I can just hike off and be on my own. I'm not necessarily. I don't really enjoy the campground camping. That's not for me. That's for my kids. They enjoy it because there's lots of other kids playing and there's basketball and whatever. I would much rather do exploratory camping. Just hike somewhere and see what's out there and take pictures. So, hope that helps. Hope that answers your questions. If you have any more questions about camping or more specific questions, let me know. Do you guys have experience with camping? Do you have like fond memories, or is it something you've just never thought about trying? Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is rambunctious. It's an adjective meaning difficult to handle, wild, and boisterous. The golden age when rambunctious spirits were regarded as the source of evil. Friedrich Nietzsche, a 19th century German philosopher. Rambunctious. R-A-M-B-U-N-C-T-I-O-U-S. Is that an uncommon word? I've heard it. I was called rambunctious a lot by my parents. So maybe it's an uncommon word with today's generations.